Hello and good morning. It's Christopher. I'm here with two of my friends, Stuntman and Benchmark. We're only going to talk about one of them today. I'm also here with another one of my friends, Maggie.
Hey guys.
How you doing today, Maggie?
I'm good.
Good.
So like always, I'm monitoring the chat. We're already talking in there.
Already talking?
We're already talking.
That's
talking about
thrilling.
you, so. Yeah.
Do you want to share with the rest
Nope.
of the class? No.
Yeah, this is all. You don't have a laptop. I'm just kidding. We're just talking
That's
about
fine.
the preview hype and that you need to remember to do card counts.
I do need to remember to do card counts. We'll see if that happens.
Yeah, we'll see.
So right, today we're going to talk about Benchmark, the penultimate of the mini expansion decks, and then on Thursday we'll talk about Stuntman. Right. I want to waste a few minutes of time here before we get right into it, because I think last time when we did it, there was like several people that came in a little late, and since we're only doing one hero deck today, I don't want people to miss out too much.
We already have like a few questions.
Sure, so I'm happy to talk about questions. I do want to talk about the schedule for the rest of the next couple weeks of stuff. With that in mind, I want to talk about that schedule at the beginning here, and then we'll talk about it again at the end. That way we bookend it so people have a chance to get that info. And that schedule is, like I said, today we're talking about Benchmark. On Thursday morning, 10 a.m. Central, we'll be talking about Stuntman. Tomorrow, which is Wednesday, between today and Thursday, tomorrow, Maggie, you and some other exciting people are going to be playing Exoplanets.
Yes, that's the official name, Exoplanets.
Exoplanets.
So tomorrow, myself and Matt will be teaching Exoplanets, and then we'll be joined by a special guest, Kathleen Mercury, who is a game designer from St. Louis, and she will play it with us, and it will be amazing. And also you'll get to really get an in-depth look at the game. We'll walk through the mechanics, we'll talk about rules, we'll take questions. That way, unlike our previous episodes where we kind of just go straight into gameplay, you really have a chance to learn about it more, because it's not a super complicated game, but it's a chance.
But it's good to be able to learn the rules, and like it's an informative session.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, and what is the name of that game again?
Exoplanets, not exoplanets.
Exoplanets.
In exoplanets.
Exoplanets.
Yes, that is it, exactly.
Exoplanets.
And then Saturday.
This coming Saturday,
Yep.
at 2 o'clock Central.
Yes.
2 o'clock Central. We'll be playing some dumb game.
Yeah, stupid hero game. I don't know, right?
Heroes of the Universe.
Heroes of the Universe. That's what I've heard it called.
I've heard it. One of my favorite was a podcast review that reviewed. I mean, the title was right there, but they reviewed Heroes of the Universe by Better Than Games.
Oh, Better Than Games, not greater than, just better than.
That's like it's like the Aldi brand, Schmaldi. It's like the Schmaldi brand of
Sentinels.
Right. Yeah.
Heroes of the Universe.
By Better Than Games, coming to all Schmaldis near you.
Yeah.
Because that's where I buy my board games.
Schmaldi's.
Yeah.
The best board game company in the world. But yeah, no, we'll play Sentinels of the Multiverse. We have a poll that's already gone out, and I will post a reminder about that later on today.
On Twitter, on Facebook, and on Instagram.
And probably also on Tumblr.
Ooh, on Tumblr! That's where all of our followers are.
Well, you know what? We have a Tumblr. I'm going to use that Tumblr.
A thing that somebody pointed out to me recently is that on Instagram, when you have a link there, you can't click that link. Links don't work on Instagram.
Yeah, I know.
They would have to like copy it and paste it into there. That's really awkward.
It is very awkward. There's nothing I can really...
Well, I think the thing you could do on Instagram is if you're like, hey, there's a link to a thing, you could say...
In the header. You have to put it in like your... I don't know why I pointed
Does that work?
But
In
like
the header?
if you're picturing if you're picturing me as an Instagram photo,
which you are.
It would be in the like description. Yeah, links work in the description. People do that a lot.
Okay.
We haven't discussed doing that.
Yeah,
I can do that.
Right, the thing that I would say is even you could just say, hey, check out our other social media like Twitter, Facebook, or Tumblr for the link to the poll, because those things are all very link friendly. It's just weird to me that Instagram doesn't like links.
I have very strong opinions about Instagram.
Oh.
But
are they negative opinions?
Kind of.
Are they positive opinions?
A little bit. I mean, there are so like four board games.
This is what you tuned in to watch, of course, right?
Of course.
Was Maggie and Christopher talking about the various social media channels. I said I was going to waste some minutes. Go ahead.
So Instagram is great for board games because you get to have photos, right?
Which you can't put photos on Facebook or Twitter or Tumblr.
You can.
You definitely can.
But this is specifically for photos.
Sure.
And it's a really good
but
way
not
to
links.
show up. Yeah, but not links.
Not Zeldas.
And you also so there are things that we've not Zeldas. There are things that we use where we can post to multiple accounts at once.
Wow.
So I can post to Facebook, Twitter, Instagram all at the same time.
Sure.
Except for Instagram. Instagram is not friendly with any of these.
No.
They favor one company, and that company is really, really expensive, and I
held with an
will
iron
not.
fist.
I will not pay for it.
Don't submit.
I'm not going to.
That's right. Hold your ground.
Yeah.
Okay, so cool. Saturday we'll be playing Sentinels: The Multiverse. We're playing with heroes that you vote on in the poll that you can get to through Twitter, Facebook, or Tumblr, but not Instagram. You can go to Instagram, you can look at the link, and if you want to, you can painstakingly type it out.
Maybe we do.
Right, so those are things.
Some questions that we've seen is...
Hold on, I'm not done with the schedule.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Wait,
I'm sorry,
wait.
I'm too excited.
Ask your questions, definitely. Make Maggie keep a list of these questions. Ask lots of questions, but I got a couple more scheduled things to talk about. Next week, the only live stream we're doing, instead of doing 4 live streams next week, or 5, we're doing 5 live streams this week.
Yeah, my life is very complicated.
We did the 3 previews, the one we did yesterday, the one we did today, the one we're doing Thursday. Then we're doing an Exoplanets one tomorrow, and then a Sentinels one on Saturday. Amazing.
It's a lot. It's amazing.
So that's cool. And then next week, you're only doing 1 live stream.
Yeah, next week.
But you'll have to deal with me again in that one.
Yes.
So that sounds awful.
Yeah.
We're going to do another Sentinels of the Multiverse live stream next Wednesday. We do the usual Wednesday afternoon live streams of games, like we're doing Exoplanets this week. And next week we'll be doing Sentinels of the Multiverse, playing with all of the characters here, all the heroes that we talked about yesterday and today. So the team that we'll be playing with next week for Sentinels of the Multiverse next Wednesday will be Void Guard plus Benchmark. All right, Maggie, hit me with your questions while I pop open this Benchmark packaging. Ooh, very nice clamshell.
Level Up Leo asks, is Benchmark really secretly just a bench named Mark?
Man, you know, he's not, but there's always time. I can retcon it. Yeah, I like that. That's a good question.
Nostalgia Wave asked, will there be more hero deck previews, like for Lifeline or La Commodora?
So the 5 hero decks that come with OblivAeon, when we get our production copy of OblivAeon, and this is a thing, Maggie, you and I haven't talked about, but I'm going to spring it on you. I think that I'd like to do previews of those hero decks and of the environment decks as well, leading up to, like, once we have a copy of OblivAeon, then it'll be pretty close to people getting theirs, and so we can do some like lead up things with those.
I'm into that.
So yes, that is a thing we'd like to do.
Okay, next question. Wait a second.
Wait.
Next Tuesday is the 1st of May?
That sounds appropriate, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing about scheduling that I wanted to mention. It's a thing we today released an episode of the Letters Page podcast. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's a podcast that Adam, the artist for all things Sentinels, and I do, in which we talk about the lore and the story and the history and all that of Sentinel comics. And in that podcast episode that we released today, we we talked about Night Mist and monsters and things like that, cool stuff, but also we revealed the upcoming schedule for at least next week, which is stuff that we're recording this Friday. So if you have questions for a Legacy Supplemental episode and or questions for a food podcast extrasode, which if those words don't make any sense to you, don't worry about it. Get those questions submitted on the Letters Page website ASAP. You had some other questions?
Azor Shot says, speaking of game design, at Greater Than Games, will you consider a TLP on game design and your thought process in creating decks?
A TLP?
Yeah.
The Letters Page.
Oh, yeah, duh.
So the Letters Page is way more about story than it is about mechanics. And so, like, I am happy to do a talk sometime about the way that I like to do design stuff and stuff like that. Like, there's certainly things to be discussed there. I don't know that I would do it as a Letters Page podcast. So
You could probably do some sort of something special.
Some sort of something special.
Well, I was thinking a live stream, but some people don't like live streams. They prefer the podcast. But we could probably do a live stream.
We could do a live stream that becomes, because we're talking about trying to figure out some way to make our live streams into podcasts. That is a thing that we are working on due to overwhelming popular demand.
Cult of Gloom says,
hey, Brian.
Is that vest on Chris? Is that the same vest from yesterday?
No!
He would never.
Perish the thought. Yesterday's vest was a heather gray with a few, it was a heather gray with like black speckles sort of vest. It was very good. It was, it didn't have a top pocket, it only had the bottom pockets, and it had just a flat gray back. This is a brown houndstooth vest with purple striping. It has an additional pocket, and yeah, it's just a flat brown back. But yeah, it's very, very different vests.
It's a very different vest. It's a good vest though.
Also yesterday I was wearing navy pants, and today I'm not.
No one will know, but that's nice. Yeah. How did you open that package so easily? Knives.
How did I? Oh, yeah, knives.
Speaking of channels, I feel like this one isn't just for tactics tournaments anymore. If it ever was.
Does it say that it is?
Time for a new description.
Oh, is there a description that says?
I thought I updated the description, but if not, yes, time for a new description.
I didn't realize that there was a description of this channel that talked about tactics updates.
I thought that I went through and updated anything that I could, but you know what?
I mean, whoever asked that question, if you can in the chat, like, link us to or show us what that is, because, like I mentioned, I mentioned this yesterday, we're not really that great at live streaming yet. We're figuring it out, we're getting started, it's getting better and better, but we can only learn with your help.
Is Legacy supplemental episode just on normal Legacy, or is it also for Greatest Legacy and Newest Legacy?
You know, I'm happy to take questions about the other legacies, but I really want to kind of focus this one on the canonical primary legacy, and then do. I'm more interested in questions about previous generations of legacies, because the Felicia Young Legacy or Beacon, depending on what timeline you're in. I'd like to do a separate episode about her someday, especially to talk about what her story is going forward.
Christopher is not wearing pants, question mark?
No, I am wearing pants. They're just not navy pants.
What's your favorite and least favorite tie knot?
So I like the half Windsor, which is what I'm wearing right now, and I also like the 4-in-hand. Those are kind of, for me, it depends. If I want a symmetrical knot, I go with the half Windsor. If I want an asymmetrical knot, I go with the 4-in-hand. If I'm wearing a thicker tie that's like a knit material or something like that, I'll go with the 4-in-hand. So those are both great knots for me. And I hate any of I genuinely have a lot of disdain for any of the dumb, like, kitschy knots that are like made up to, like, there's the one that has all the overlapping lines. I don't remember what it's called. It's some silly knot. Any of the non-classic knots, like, I'm very opinionated when it comes to clothes. You probably don't want to talk about this thing.
Yeah.
All right.
So Unity has control over metal. Mm-hmm. And then I lost the question.
Cool.
Unity has control over metal. Is Benchmark's implant able to be manipulated?
Yeah.
Is it really a cult if it's just one person?
How do you know that the cult is just one person?
Yeah. How do you know that, Brian?
Many cults have a spokesperson, for instance.
Brian is the spokesperson for Cult of Gloom.
One of the many.
One of the many.
There are many people who speak for the Cult of Gloom. How do I do here? Is that off center? I'll just reach up and adjust the camera, and then we'll be fine. No, I'll just give it some shoves.
What's the back of the card's artwork?
Oh, good question. Good question. Actually, into the deck.
That was Dawn Mage.
Greetings. All right, just.
I think Brian just telling someone to do a fight. I'm just kidding. It says come to Gen Con and find out.
Oh. So the back of the deck is the classic deck back that all the mini expansion heroes have, but with the Benchmark logo on it. Okay. How are we doing?
I think we're good. You mean the wall behind Maggie or Christopher? Oh, somebody's asking about the walls?
The wall behind you is teal.
Yeah.
The wall behind me is orange. The games behind me are greater. Greater than. All right. Any last questions before I dig into the marking of the benches?
No redacted cards today.
No, I was actually just checking out. Like, I just laid all these out. Was there anything that I wanted to keep secret? No, I guess not. I think we're okay. Shows off a couple of scions. That's true.
Who is Benchmark? Are we allowed to know that?
What do you mean, who is Benchmark? He's Benchmark is Randall.
Randall?
Yeah. So there is, if you're not quite sure who Benchmark is, there is an update on the OblivAeon Kickstarter that tells his backstory and talks about that. Today we're mostly going to be talking about his card mechanics and the way his deck works and all that. But he is a RevaCorp employee who is a hero. He was hired to be a hero, and he is invested in being a hero for all the right reasons. Actually, yeah, there's a whole Letters Page podcast about RevaCorp and Benchmark. So, okay. Any last questions, or I'm just going to jump right in?
I think you're good.
All right. So Benchmark is a living computer. His suit is this his computerized suit that he has all these cybernetics implanted in his body that allows him to talk to his suit on a very internal level. And as such, to replicate that feeling, his deck is mostly made up of two types of cards: hardware cards and software cards. He also has 3 one-shots, and we'll talk about those last because those are just ways for him to manipulate those things. But hardware cards and software cards is what he's built up of. His hardware cards are all equipment cards. They're all typed equipment, comma, hardware. And his software cards are all ongoing cards. They're typed ongoing, comma, software. He has no limited cards in his deck, and this is accomplished by his hardware cards are all unique. They're all just 1 copy each of that card. So he actually has a ridiculous number of cards in his deck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. That is ridiculous that he has 21 cards in his deck. It's a 40-card deck. That means that there are more than half of the cards in the deck. There's an average hero deck has about 14 or 15 unique cards in it. The fact that he has 21 is really remarkable. I'm pretty sure that's the highest for any hero. So anyway, so first we're going to talk about hardware, because much like you'd expect with the computer where you have hardware and software, you've got to have hardware to install the software onto. You can't just have software without the hardware. Hardware has to come first. And that's the way he works as well, where his hardware cards do a thing, they stay in play, they have some sort of active ability, and his software cards require there to be hardware in play to make them operate. And we'll talk about that, what that means in a second. How are we doing? Any questions before I jump in here?
So far, the only question has been, I thought Parse was a living computer, question mark. Also, Omnitron?
Right, so, I mean, Omnitron is a robot. Parse is a living computer, and that she's an organic computer, and that her mind works like a computer. Benchmark's suit is a computer, and he has been upgraded himself. The person has been upgraded to interface with that. So she's a living computer, and that she does computations. He works like a computer, and that he's hardware and software all making this suit run. So I hope that helps. So with that, let's jump into the hardware. Yeah, I'm just gonna grab all of these, mess up my entire display here. Ruined. Yeah. And what order do we want to do these in? We'll start with that. We'll finish up here.
Do you know how many unique cards Cronin Rager has?
Not off the top of my head. I'd have to look at it. But somebody could figure that out probably.
Yeah, they said that they thought that was the only competitor potentially.
I don't think that it's even close, but I could be wrong. I really could be. He'll need those pretty early on. Let's do that and that. And good. So that is the order that we'll do the hardwares in. Okay, so to start, we've got some, and these are hardwares. There's only 1 copy of each of these cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 unique hardware cards. The first one is called Subcutaneous Cybernetics, and it's just a shot of him in a lab, just having had some computer bits installed in him. And it says, the first time that Benchmark is dealt damage each turn, you may discard a card. If you do, Benchmark regains 1 HP. At the end of your turn, Benchmark regains 1 HP. So, at the end of each turn, you're going to get 1 HP back from this. But then whenever, the first time you're dealt damage each turn, you can regain some HP by discarding a card. But that is you're not going to run out of cards if you do that all the time. But if nothing else, as long as you've got these subcutaneous cybernetics in play, you're going to regain HP, 1 HP each turn. So there's that. I'll just make a stack of hardwares here as we go. Yeah. Then we have an upgraded memory unit, and it just shows the top of his head with the top of his helmet with some of the casing exposed, so you can see what all he's got going on there. And this increases HP recovery by Benchmark by 1. So if you've got this and the subcutaneous cybernetics in play, you're going to regain 2 HP at the end of each turn, and at the end of each of your turns. And you can, whenever you discard a card to regain HP, you'll get 2 instead of 1. So that's nice. At the end of your turn, if you have 5 or fewer cards in hand, draw a card. If you do not draw a card this way, you may play a software card. So this upgraded memory unit will let you draw more cards if you're low on resources, or play more cards if you're rife with resources. The next we have a reinforced chassis, and it's just like a sweet armored version of his suit. I'm going to use the covering Maggie up trick to show that art a little bit better.
Too close. Too close. Well, that's actually pretty good, actually. Well. You made me go blurry for a second.
Yeah. So that's the reinforced chassis, and it reduces damage dealt to Benchmark by 1. Very standard defensive, all damage reduced by 1 card. So that's nice. It's very useful, and also it's a hardware card, which is also very useful. necessary. Then we've got onboard cooling systems, and this just shows some various tubes on his suit that he's using to keep it from overheating. Not yet. The first time a software card enters play each turn, Benchmark deals up to 2 targets 2 cold damage each. So that means the first time you're playing a software card each turn, you're getting to vent out some cold damage for free. So that's nice. And the real nice thing about this card, you may use an additional power during your power phase. So this is one of those 2 powers during your power phase cards. Very nice. Moving on, we've got the Legion Core Processor. This is a hardware card, and the art just shows a processor. I think I showed that one in an art preview once. At the start of your turn, you may either move 1 software card from your trash into your hand, or you may use a power. So if you've got this Legion Core processor and these onboard cooling systems, you could use up to 3 powers in a turn. So that's pretty cool. You gotta have the powers for it, of course, but it's awesome. And it also lets you move software cards from your trash into hand, which is useful because your software cards go away quite frequently. You have to do a lot to maintain them. So frequently you'll have software that you want to keep around that goes away, but this is a way to get it back.
Nougat Bar asked, boy, that looks Baron Blady. Is that a coincidence?
Which
Russ said RevaCorp was founded by
That's true. That's
Baron
true.
Blady.
This is all RevaCorp tech, and RevaCorp tech is Baron Blady. The one that I think might look Baron Blady was the reinforced chassis, and it is like a mech suit that has blue and purple and red on it, so that's kind of a Baron Blade sort of thing. But those colors are not proprietarily Baron Blade, as much as he would love to own those colors, and if he could, he would. That he does not yet. Not yet. Next card is called Flash Installation Drive, and this just shows some sort of drive device plugged into his chest that's uploading a bunch of data to the suit. It says at the end of your turn, discard the top card of your deck. Then you may put a software card from your trash into play. So this is another card that gets software back from the trash quickly, but this goes directly into play. But it does also mill your deck, which is useful and sometimes a drawback. Like it's a thing you have to kind of balance. Yep, it's throwing cards everywhere. Next we go to the Micro Fabricator. This is another device built into the suit that shows building other pieces of hardware for itself. And sure enough, at the end of your turn, you may play a hardware card or draw a card. Then you may discard a card. And it says you may discard a card. Why would I want to discard a card? Well, we've already seen a couple of cards that do things with your trash, and I'll bet there's more. I don't know. I'm just betting. I'm guessing. Hypothesizing.
Did you do card counts?
These are all one copy.
Sorry.
These are all one copy.
I was pretty sure that was the...
Yeah, every equipment card in his deck, every hardware card in his deck, all of his hardware cards are equipment cards, all his equipment cards are hardware cards. None of them are limited because there's only one copy of each of them. So we're going through those, then we'll go through card counts on softwares and on one-shots. All right, secondary cannon. This is a sweet, actually I really like this art. This is a sweet little floaty cannon that is floating over his shoulder that's attached to him with some cables, and it is a hardware card that says whenever he uses a power, you may discard a card. If you do, he deals one target 1 projectile damage. So it's just a little bit of extra, damage. If you choose to do the card discards for it, whenever you use a power, you can get an extra shot off of it. It's a thing that you can definitely build towards. You're like, I'm going to do a build that's based on using lots of powers and powering the secondary cannon and boosting up the secondary cannon. It's definitely a legit build. One of the things that I like about the modularity of him from his hardware and his software is that you can build him in lots of different ways for different types of threats.
What's Benchmark's base power?
Oh yeah, we didn't start with that. I'm going to do this last equipment card, and then I'll go to the base powers. I'm very sorry. I should have started with the innate power on his card, but we'll get there. The last one is the Inferno Missile Pod, and this is one of the coolest arts in the deck. It shows Benchmark firing off a ton of missiles. This is one that Adam showed off pretty early on in his Twitter stream.
I love it.
Pew, 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 missiles. Missiles! Oh my gosh! I'm really impressed with this camera focus. I don't know if this is looking good on the live stream or not. You'll have to tell me in a second.
It's actually not bad. Yeah, I could read all of those words if I wanted to.
How about now?
No, because I can't see. Good job.
Oh no, Maggie, you're fussy forever!
It came back.
Oh, whew. I'm gonna get just like angry text messages from Trevor. What are you doing?
That is not what we should, yeah. What?
All right. This is the last equipment card. Whenever you discard a card from your hand, you may put it under this card. So, We talked about that one card that does discards earlier. And there's other things that have created discards. This one is whenever you discard a card from your hand, you may put it under discard. So you can let it go to the trash if you want to. But anytime you discard a card, you can choose to dock it underneath the Inferno Missile Pod. Then, at the end of your turn, destroy all the cards under this card. Then Benchmark deals 1 target, 1 fire damage, X times, where X equals the number of cards destroyed. So, if there's 4 cards under this, it doesn't deal 1 target 4 fire damage, it deals 1 target 1 fire damage 4 times. Bang, 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 bang. Lots of missiles. So if you've got some damage upgrades, this can get overwhelming pretty quick. So that is the pile of equipment cards. All right. So I'm going to go on and talk about his base card, his character card, his hit points and his power, and then we can pick up any questions we have about equipment or base powers before going on to his software cards, his ongoing cards. So Benchmark has 31 HP, and he has a base power called the New Standard, in which it's power, draw a card. Benchmark deals 1 target, 1 energy damage. So his power, he gets a card and he gets to deal 1 target of damage. Like, that's a great power. It's fueling his resources and it's outputting some hurt. His 3 and 8 powers, unsurprisingly. 1 player may play a card, 1 player may use a power, 1 player may draw a card. He's like the super standard stuff all the way down because that's who Benchmark is. All right. Any questions before we dig into the ongoing software cards?
Does the missile pod stop Captain from stealing stuff?
Because it says whenever you discard a card, you may put it under this card. So you would be able to say, no, I can put it under this card. I have that option. So you can steal it from her as she's trying to steal it. Because she La Capitan can steal things from you when you're discarding cards.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I got that. I got that.
Cool. Just making sure. All right, so now I'm going to go on to software cards, and I'm going to look at them in some order. What order?
Standard power on the promo.
Well, we always talk about the promo last.
Now,
okay. We also always talk about the character card first, but I didn't do that this time, and yet. Well, that's what we're going to do. I'm going to talk about...
What difficulty level is Benchmark?
Benchmark is a complexity 3 because he has so many different things to keep track of. Heroes have complexity, villains have difficulty.
That was also pointed out in the yeah, they're on it.
Yeah. All right, so let's see. We'll start with this, and then go to this.
Benchmarky Mark, and then the Revo bunch.
Oh boy. And then this. And
I like
here. And here. And here. And here. And here. And yeah. Okay. And so I'm not dealing with card counts all the way through. I believe that there are 2 copies of each software card. Let's find out if I'm right. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Yeah, good. That was what I thought. That was my intention, is to make it that way. And turns out I succeeded. So yes, so he has 2 copies of each of his software cards. They're all ongoing cards. None of them are limited, so you could have 2 copies of each of them in play. And all of them have a bit of boilerplate about at the start of your turn. If you have more software than hardware in play, you draw a card and destroy 2 software cards. So we will be hearing that phrase a bunch. The first one we're going to start with is a card called Load on Initialization. It shows him being frustrated at his suit loading up. He's got something on his visor that shows that the system is loading up, and he's like, come on, hurry up. But it's a piece of software that says at the start of your turn, you may either draw a card or play a software card. So this gets more software into play. Then, so right after your start of turn, when you do this process, if you have more software than hardware in play, draw a card and destroy 2 software cards. So that's just going to accelerate his playing of software. Next, we've got an Intel Analyzer. It is a power. The power says draw 2 cards, discard 2 cards, you may play a software card. So you're drawing 2 and discarding 2, so there's not a net gain, but it is pruning what you have in hand, being very picky and choosy. And then it lets you play a software card. Similarly, at the start of your turn, if you have more software than hardware in play, draw a card and destroy 2 software cards. Next, we've got the Intervening Path Calculator. Whenever the hero with the lowest HP would be dealt damage, you may redirect that damage to Benchmark. So this is a thing that, like, whenever the hero target that is the weakest would get hurt, you can say, no, 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 I'll take that damage instead. So Benchmark can tank a lot using this, but, you know, that's tricky. At the start of your turn, if you have more software than hardware in play, draw a card and destroy 2 software cards. We've got some countermeasures, which is him flying through some drones and blowing them up as he goes. Whenever Benchmark would be dealt damage by a non-hero target with 2 or fewer HP, destroy that target instead. So this just automatically destroys 1 or 2 HP targets that are attacking Benchmark. Super powerful, super powerful. At the start of your turn, if you have more software than hardware in play, draw a card and destroy 2 software cards. So it's powerful, and it's like, that sounds like a thing that you'd always want, right? But sometimes you're dealing with big, strong, HP-rich targets, and you need software in play that's actually going to help you out with those targets, not just clean off those targets when they're down to the low HPs. So it's a trade-up. What are you going to have in play? The auto-targeting protocol is the next one. It's a power. Benchmark deals up to 5 targets, 1 energy damage each. So this is a nice spread out some energy damage across up to 5 targets. At the start of your turn, if you have more software than hardware in play, draw a card and destroy 2 software cards. We've got the Ally Matrix. It shows him helping out Absolute Zero here against Choke Point. Power is another one of those powers. Discard a card. If you do, one other player may draw a card and use a power. So that's nice. For the cost of 1 of your cards, another player gets to draw a card and use a power. Very good. If you have more software than hardware at the start of your turn, draw a card and destroy 2 cards. Destroy 2 software cards. All right, next we have a Tactical Communicator. Shows him making some moves around a Scion, trying to avoid getting blasted. It's a power, another one of these powers. Power, select a target. The next damage dealt to that target is irreducible and increased by 2. So this is damage you deal, damage somebody else deals. You use a power, you select a target, and increase the next damage dealt to that target by 2. And the damage is irreducible. Amazing. If you have more software than hardware at the start of your turn, draw a card. Destroy 2 software cards. All right, now we have a multi-point HUD, a heads-up display. Power, increased damage dealt by Benchmark this turn by 1. So this is a power that you use, and upon using that power, the rest of the damage you deal this turn is increased by 1. But because you have the ability to sometimes use a power at the start of your turn, or even use multiple powers in a power phase, that can be very useful. Has the usual boilerplate about at the start of your turn, destroying software cards and drawing cards if you don't have more, if you have more software than hardware. Shunt energy. This is him using his internal energy in a very different way. Power. Benchmark deals himself 1 energy damage and deals 1 target 4 melee damage. At the start of your turn, if you have more software than hardware in play, draw a card and destroy 2 software cards. Okay, last time that I have to say that today, it's the Threat Neutralizer. Shows Glamour having a bit of trouble. Power. Destroy an ongoing card, an environment card, or a target with 1 HP. Then destroy this card. So this power is you use it once, it solves the problem, but then this card goes away. Additionally, as long as you have this card in play, at the start of your turn, if you have more software than hardware in play, draw a card and destroy 2 software cards. Maggie, what are the questions? Anything?
Slaughterhouse 6 form a sitcom. Most popular show ever? Question mark?
Probably not.
Cult of Gloom. Is there any particular mechanic or card that you think underlines Benchmark's status as a... he said cooperative, but I think he meant corporate hero? A
corporate hero. So the new standard, his power is there. Really, the intervening path calculator, the card itself doesn't specifically do a lot about this, but the flavor text on it I love so much because it's him jumping in the way of some giant blast of energy that is about to take out Tyler Vance, the guy who drives the bunker suit, and the flavor text on the card is Benchmark saying, "Meet the new standard," and then there's an ellipsis. I'm so sorry, I'm contractually obligated to say that. And this is like, it's a tough moment for him. He's like, oh man, I'm gonna talk to this guy who's a big time superhero and like a combat vet and everything, and I'm gonna have to meet this new hero and say, "Meet the new standard." Like, how embarrassing for everybody involved. Oh boy.
Can always use the software since I think there was... You can always use the software since I think there was hardware that pulls software from the trash?
Yeah. Yeah. There is hardware that pulls software from the trash. That is true.
I think I got everything because now... Yeah, they're talking about other stuff.
All right.
Somebody said dollars to donuts, and now I want donuts.
Good news.
Yeah.
You can get donuts.
I can.
All right, so he's got 3 one-shots, and he has 4 copies of 2 of those one-shots, and 3 copies of the last of those one-shots. So first we're going to talk about him getting into action quickly, him doing some stuff in action, and then him changing up the way the action goes. And then we'll talk about his promo card. So first off, we have a one-shot that has 4 copies. It's called Deployment Actuation, and this is shows him getting some suit upgrades mid-fight in the field, like just stuff installed directly to his system. It says reveal cards from the top of your deck until a hardware card is revealed. Put it into play. Discard the other revealed cards. You may move a hardware or software card from your trash to your hand. So this gets some hardware into play immediately, and also can resurrect some stuff from the trash, which is notable because you just probably discarded a bunch of stuff from the top of your deck, and so you have a lot of options there to pick from. So this is this is a one-shot that can get you into hardware very quickly. We'll put these here instead. Next, we have an ongoing one-shot card that has 4 copies of, and this is a card that you will probably see a lot for reasons that you will understand soon. There's 4 copies of it, and also it's a card called Flyby. He's flying around and blowing up some things. It says benchmark deals up to 3 targets 2 energy damage each. So 3 targets 2 energy damage each. Great. Additionally, you may either play a card or return this card to your hand. So you can play a flyby and then play another card. I mean, heck, you could play a flyby and then play a flyby and play a flyby and play a flyby. On that last one, you can either then play another card or you can return that flyby to your hand. So flyby is a card that is going to come back around a lot, and you have to decide how you want to use it to set up other cards or to maybe do a big mega turn with lots of damage. The last card is the one that only has 3 copies, and it's a card called Overhaul Loadout. And it shows him with like all of his stuff installed. This is like every piece of hardware installed. Looking great.
Flyby does what?
He deals up to 3 targets, 2 energy damage each, and then you can either play another card or you can return that card that you just played to your hand.
Okay. Pretty flyby.
And then, anyway, Overhaul Loadout. So it's a one-shot. You draw 3 cards. You can move any number of hardware and software cards in play to your hand. So you can pick up any number of hardware and software cards you want. 0, or all of them, or any number in between. Then you play up to X hardware and or software cards, where X equals the number of cards you move to your hand this way. So you've got like, all right, I've got 4 equipment cards out, 4 hardware cards out, and 3 software cards out. I'm going to play Overhaul Loadout. I'm going to draw 3 cards. Then I'm going to pick up all 7 of those cards, and then I'm going to put 7 other or the same cards into play, so you can really change up what it is you're doing as benchmark in one turn, which is why I said, like earlier, I'd mentioned the thing about benchmark's very modular. You can really set him up for different situations. If you're in one situation and you're like, oh man, I need a completely different set of things, one turn, completely different set of things.
So
yes.
Mima Tone says 9 times 2 plus 9 times 1 plus 4 times 2 plus 3 times 1 is 38.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So we know we're fine here. We have 11 one-shots. We've got 9 hardware cards, and then we have 2 copies of each software card.
Okay. How many is benchmark hurt by? How much is benchmark hurt by destroy all equipment effects in the middle of a game?
Yeah.
Is it easy for him to bounce back?
It's easy for him to bounce back. So it's rough for him, but destroy all equipment is going to destroy all his hardware, which is rough because then your software is going to want to go away as well because you need hardware to have your software installed. But he's got a lot of cards that get him, that accelerate those things. Like, he bounces back faster than most. The Wraith's a really good example, where the Wraith, like, you need your equipment cards to be doing stuff as the Wraith, but you've got a lot of means within that deck to get yourself set up. If the Wraith ever loses all of her equipment cards, yeah, it's rough, but sometimes the villains need that roughness, especially against the Wraith and especially against Benchmark. So then after that moment, kind of like with the Wraith, when you get all your stuff blown up, the Wraith comes back from that faster than many other people do, and so does Benchmark. So that is a comparison that I would make there. They're done in very different ways, but it's also true.
Here's a question. Readers hated Benchmark shoving himself in. Did writers hate having to shove him in?
Some of them did, some of them didn't. This is a story thing about Benchmark from the Benchmark episode. That, like, yeah, in general, there's people are like, man, who's this character that's coming out of nowhere and being this character, this, like, why are we having to deal with this character all the time now? And some of his writing, like the quote on that one card that I read the flavor text of, the writers are like acknowledging that that's true and acknowledging, man, who is this guy's coming out of anywhere, and trying to make even the character, Randall Butler, kind of self-aware of that. It's like, hey guys, I'm sorry I'm everywhere. Like, it's my job. I'm contractually obligated to do this. So yeah, there was a good amount of self-awareness of that. And some writers were like, oh, fine, whatever, I'll just do it because I have to. And some writers were like, yeah, let's play with this. And some writers genuinely liked him. And he actually becomes very genuinely likable by the end. It was just at the beginning, it was like, man, overdoing it with this guy. Come on.
Is Benchmark Poochie?
Poochie.
P-O-O-C-H, or yeah, C-H-I-E.
Poochie.
Right?
No, his name is Randall Butler.
I don't think I get the reference.
Me neither.
Okay.
All right. The last of the variant cards, and then I'll be happy to take more questions, is Benchmark Supply and Demand, which is Benchmark from a world in which the villains have really overrun everything. You get a good feel of that from the incapacitated side, where it shows all of these villains. There we go. All of these villains standing over a defeated Benchmark. Yeah.
Are they fist bumping? No, they're toasting.
No, they're toasting. They've got goblets.
Yeah, they wouldn't fist bump. That would be much worse.
It's so crass. But yeah, Benchmark Supply and Demand. He's got 29 hit points instead of the regular 31, so he loses 2 hit points. But in exchange for what? In exchange for a power called Desperate Measures. Power. Benchmark regains 1 HP. Play the top card of your deck. And so the regaining 1 HP is nice. It gets him some extra health, and it can combo with various things in his deck. But playing the top card of your deck, oh man. For Benchmark, since his loadout is so important, it's both useful but also a little risky because you can exceed your software capacity if that happens. All right, so that is Benchmark. Questions?
Is the goblet the most villainous drinking vessel after the defeated skulls of your enemies?
I mean, I think a defeated skull of your enemy that you have fashioned into a goblet, because you take the skull, top the cap off, and you top the top of it off, and seal the bottom, and you can drink from that. That's good. But then if you add like an ornate stem, maybe made from like a bone, the leg bone, so you make
a nice femur. Like, well, not your femur. No, actually, you're like, yeah, you know what I mean. Your ulna, your una. I don't know what the hell. Ulna.
Yeah.
That would work.
Yeah, you could do that. Yeah, Maggie and I are going to start doing a once a month live stream where we talk about creepy things with bones and stuff, because it's what she's into.
Because I know the names of some of them? Okay.
You were pretty...
It would be fun.
It would be. I don't disagree at all. Other questions? Bones, blood?
Someone said, we love you, Christopher.
Oh.
Don't feed him. Like,
that's very generous of you.
That is very nice.
It's really nice that people love me even though all I do is lie to them.
Yeah.
I made up all these cards.
Demi Hero says, isn't that just zesty blood? Talking about zesty blood is not the same thing as that. It's zesty. Never mind.
Someone's awfully defensive.
Blood in a sippy cup. I think that's funny.
All right. Any other questions about Benchmark?
Nothing's coming in yet.
Okay.
Let's give him a second because
while we do that, I'm going to reiterate the schedule. So today we talked about Benchmark. Hold on to it. Today we talked about Benchmark. On Thursday morning we'll be talking. Let's go chronologically. Yes. Tomorrow afternoon you can watch Maggie and our very own Matt. I don't know if you know Matt, but he's great. Maggie and Matt are going to learn how to play Exoplanets. They both already know how to play Exoplanets, but they're going to walk through the process of setting it up, of talking through the rules, a refresher for both of them, but also useful information for you. It's a fun game. You should check it out. Then after that, and they'll do that for about an hour, and then Kathleen Mercury, a local St. Louis game designer, is going to come in, and the three of them are going to play Exoplanets together because it's better as a 3-player game, and she's excited to come in and play. Yep. So that is what's tomorrow. Tomorrow afternoon, starting at 3 p.m. Central?
3 p.m. Central.
There you go. 3 p.m. Central. For 3 to 4 is setup, instructions, etc., etc. 4 to 5, 5:30, somewhere in there, will be the actual playing of the game. So come check it out tomorrow afternoon. The day after that, Thursday morning at 10 a.m., we will be doing another one of these. And is that true? Is that true? I think that's true. We'll have released an editor's note of the letters page that morning. So just like today where we do a thing, but you have to like stop listening to the letters page so you can listen to this thing, we're going to do the same thing again on Thursday.
Nice, I like it.
Yeah, we're very nice to you that way. So that's happening then. Friday, we're recording episodes. This is not live unless you are one of our Patreon backers at the contributor level. But on Friday morning, Adam and I are going to be doing, Friday all day, Adam and I are going to be recording Letters Page things. And one of those things is if you are a contributor to our Patreon for the Letters Page, then at 11 a.m. we'll be recording the food extrasode. It's all about food. We're just going to be talking about food.
You know, bring food in?
Probably not. We're probably not going to eat any food live, but maybe we will. I don't know. We haven't talked about it. We haven't pre-gamed that episode so much. Maybe we have a selection of food. We haven't decided yet.
No, tomorrow is not Stuntman because Maggie's got to be on like a 2-hour stream tomorrow. So.
Tomorrow, Wednesday, is
Exoplanets, and then
Thursday morning is Stuntman. Then Friday is Letters Page recording, which doesn't matter to you except if you've got questions for the food extrasode or for the supplemental legacy episode, get those in using the submission form on the Letters Page website. And if you're one of our contributors, please join us at 11 a.m. for the food extrasode. And that's Friday. Saturday, we're doing the
super cool,
Sentinels
totally awesome, amazing
of the Multiverse game with you and Matt, who you guys just will watch tomorrow doing Exoplanets. That's great. And me, the three of us playing Sentinels of the Multiverse right here Saturday afternoon at 2 p.m. Central. Yes?
Yes.
Great. Sunday, take a break. Breathe. Awesome.
That's nice.
Sunday is a day for rest. Then, Monday, nothing. Also, keep resting. Nothing on Monday. Nothing on Monday. Tuesday, keep resting. Just keep resting. Do you have a job? Don't go to that job. Just stay home. Breathe. Don't take my advice. It's not good advice. Then Wednesday of next week, we're doing another game of Sentinels of the Multiverse, and that game of Sentinels of the Multiverse will have the 5 heroes will be Void Guard plus Benchmark, who we just talked about today. So we'll see all 5 of those next Wednesday. And I think that is all the schedule we need to talk about today. You're just typing while looking at me. It's very creepy.
It was right too.
Hey,
I was
nicely
like
done.
chancing it.
All right, I'm all about that. No risk, no reward. What do you got in terms of questions?
What are the incapacitated abilities of both?
We already talked about the incapacitated abilities of the first Benchmark card, but I'll bring them up again. It's going to be the standard play a card, use a power, draw a card. It's a regular hero turn, but split up for other people. So you can let one player play a card, or you can let one hero use a power, or you can let one player draw a card. Because he's the standard. Benchmark supply and demand is all non-standard stuff. One hero target regains 2 HP, destroy an ongoing card, destroy an environment card. All right, those are those incapacitated abilities. What else?
What are some rejected branded names for Benchmark that RevaCorp came up with during the workshopping process? The name Synergy, perhaps?
Yeah, a lot of those business terms. Yeah.
Synergy. I hate that word.
Wow, why? Like, it's a perfectly valid word.
It's a fine word. I just
you hate the overusage of the word.
Yeah.
But the word is a perfectly legitimate word.
Yeah, that is more fun.
Like, this thing we've got going on here on these podcasts, on these live streams, synergy.
Don't say
We're
things
leveraging
like
our
that.
synergy.
Oh my God, leveraging your...
We're leveraging our synergy. Leverage is also a good name for him.
Yeah.
Leveraging our synergy
That would have been
to
something they would have put up with,
maximize our output and reach throughout our customer base.
God, I hate it so much.
It was
I know. You're right,
awful.
but I hate it. Okay.
Business.
Some food might randomly show up on Friday. Who knows? Brian.
This is the face I make.
Don't waste money on buying us food. When designing the game, how do you determine what incapped heroes have?
Incapacitation abilities are in some ways there are a lot of it's based on story. A lot of it's based on when this hero is down, how do other heroes react to that? And also when this hero is down, like, are they still interacting in some way? Like Visionaries is a great example of like, oh, when Visionary's down, she gets super destructive because then we have Dark Visionary starting to kind of rise up there. So yeah, a lot of it comes from the story, and a lot of it comes from being reflections of the deck in certain ways.
Does Benchmark buzzword himself, or does he avoid them?
He avoids them, but sometimes he has to use them. Sometimes, like, listen, here's the deal. You've got to hit a certain minimum. You've got a quota this month of the various phrases that we need you to say. It's all about branding and customer image.
Super important.
Yeah.
Does Paul talk like that?
No.
No, he doesn't.
No, nobody here does.
No one does.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, we all can. We all do the thing that we just did where we like play around with these business words and then feel kind of gross about it.
Yeah. We only do that like during businessy meetings.
I would say that we do that for lols.
Yeah, for the lols. As the kids say.
You have to say the lols? I usually just say lols. If there's an article, what if it's just for like a lol?
That I
No?
think takes on a different meaning.
Oh, okay. I don't know.
Well,
I don't know.
Because, like,
I'm very old and decrepit.
that's true.
I'm falling apart
Does
here.
the rest of his, yeah, you are. Does the rest of his hero team need to hit those quotas?
So he doesn't initially have a team. Later he has a team, but that is a different story. And he's not even the primary leader of that team. Unity is. But that's RPG stuff.
RPG stuff.
Are we good?
I don't have any more questions coming in.
All right. Thank you guys so much for joining us. What time is it? How long did we do that one?
10:50.
10:50. Well, we got to get out of here anyway because Craig's about to start doing another live stream in about 5 to 10 minutes. Yeah, but that's not a public one, is it?
No, it is. It's
Oh,
on
see,
Facebook.
I
It's
didn't
on our
know.
Facebook.
I didn't
If
know.
you want to ask Craig questions about what conventions we're going to, what we're planning on for different events, he's going live on Facebook in
about
10 minutes.
In 9 minutes.
No, it's still 10 minutes.
In 8 minutes.
Still, how do you think time passes?
Very quickly.
Okay.
So yeah, there is another live stream happening today at 11 o'clock on our Facebook account at greater than facebook.com/greaterthangames, GT Games.
/greater than games.
Sure.
Yeah.
BACKSLASH GREATERTHANGAMES.
It seems really robot-y of you. Okay.
Thank you. Yeah.
Facebook. Can I watch it without signing in? I
no
am
idea.
not sure.
So-
I'm pretty sure that's...
I hope that whoever asked that said that because they don't have a Facebook account because I'm in the same boat. I deleted my Facebook years ago and it's the best decision I ever made. So, yeah.
I'm pretty sure that you can't, but I could grab it and post it on
But I don't know if you
YouTube
can.
afterwards. I mean, you're not going to be able to ask questions. I think that's the main point of it.
Yeah, that one's way more interactive. Like this one, you could watch this to get the idea of what's going on with the
That's
character and
literally
stuff.
just Craig sitting there staring at his camera being like...
Answering questions.
Yeah.
Answering questions. All right, cool. So, if there's nothing else, we'll wrap up here so that Craig can go live because if there's two different people, we found this out when Paul and I were doing our character thing.
It destroys everything.
Yeah, no, you can't have
We'll
more
just
than
break
one
the
live
whole-
streaming coming out of this office at the same
Yeah.
time, and we are definitely talking to our internet provider about, hey, come on.
Yeah,
We need more up.
exactly.
Got to get more up.
All right, guys.
Thank you so much for joining us. We
was
will
great
see you
seeing you.
again.
I'll see some of you tomorrow.
Right. Some of you will see Craig in a bit. Some of you will see Maggie tomorrow. I will see some of you on Thursday. I'll see some of you on Friday. It's going to be great. This is going to be an exciting week.
Awesome. Bye, guys.
Keep on saving the multiverse.